going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Eat, Sleep, Drive, and I'm in my 240 and it's running. I'm on the street. It's not ridiculously loud with that open header exhaust. And I just wanted to do a video to talk to you guys and let you know that my car is done and then give you my first impressions of what it's like to drive an LS swap 240SX. Let's get you guys up to date with what happened last time. So last time I drove the car to the shop because it needed to get tuned, it needed an exhaust, and all that stuff has been done. Turning Concepts welded up a fully custom exhaust for this thing, and it's awesome. It's just the right amount of noise, but it's actually pretty civilized. Then the car got tuned. I put it on the dyno, and here's what happened. So after pulling it off the dyno, immediately it was so much better to drive because that stock tune did not like this big cam at all. So the car was tuned, so it ran right. And also I got to find out how much power it makes. Now, it only made 311 horsepower and I think like 350 foot-pound of torque. That's on a Mustang dyno, that's on Turning Concepts dyno. You know, everyone could say that's a low power number, whatever. It's a very low reading dyno. All I know is that when I drive it, it feels fast. It's a properly fast car, and it's not too much to overwhelm this car. That RB26 swap 240 that I had that made 500 wheel was definitely pushing it as far as overwhelming the chassis. It was just very hard to hook up. This car has a lot of low end torque, but it still hooks up, and the power band is super linear as well. If you look at the dyno graph, it's just super linear. It's enough power to have fun, that's for sure. This is just supposed to be a fun street car. Now, more specifically, what is it like to drive this car? Well, I'm gonna sum it up in one word, and that's brutish. It's a pretty savage car to drive. So everything that you interact with, like, let's start with this shifter. The transmission is a T56, which is common for LS's, and it is a man shifter. Like, you have to shift with purpose on this thing, and it's just a beefy shifter. So that, coupled with the fact that this car has a two-way in the rear, the differential's a two-way, so it locks on acceleration and deceleration. It's got solid, like essentially solid bushings. Everything is just ramped up to 11. It's got a one-piece drive shaft. So you know immediately that there's gonna be some vibrations, especially with all these different things just being tightened up. It's very stiff and purposeful. The other thing this car does well is annihilate tires. It's silly. So, there's so many things to talk about. This engine sound from this specific car is hilarious to me. I've grown up with 240s, I've had several, and I just don't associate a V8 sound with them. And there's nothing wrong with turbo engines. They all have their place in the world. SR20, great motor. RB series, great motor. 2J is like, everything that people put in 240s are great, but a V8 in this car is just something else. It's just something else. It sounds out of place, but in a very, very good way. Now I'm going to do a full review on this car because obviously it's just due. It deserves it. So it's going to be pretty and it's going to have even more details. So I don't want to get into too much of the driving experience because, to be honest, there's still a lot of things I have to sort. If you guys could see it right now, I would show you, but the ECU is currently sitting on the passenger floor. I have no interior. My suspension I have aftermarket coilovers that were on the car when I bought it, but the car's not been aligned, so it kind of drives like garbage. So I'm going to do a proper review when this car is a little more done. Projects are never really done per se, but this one needs to get a little bit further along before I can give it a proper review. That said, even though this thing is far from done, it is an absolute riot, and it gets my blood going every single time I've driven it. So I've probably driven it, maybe a dozen times at this point. And right now I'm just on my commute home from work, and it's just exciting. It just excites me in all the right ways. But what I need to do is get this interior back together so it's a little more livable. I'm super happy with the exhaust not being terribly loud. It's loud enough that it makes good noises and it's, noticeable, and it feels like a fun, special car, but it's not too loud that my neighbors just absolutely hate me. Every time I start it up, I wake up everyone in the neighborhood, stuff like that. I didn't want that. Maybe I'm getting too old for this shit. I don't know, but that just wasn't me. As this car sits, I'm super happy with how it came out. And would I do it again? Yes, absolutely, I would do it again. There was a lot of times when I was doing this build when I was like, this sucks. I'm so sick of it. There's always something to go wrong, right, when you're building cars, but it worked out in the end. I appreciate everyone's help who helped me build this. Once again, there will be a more in-depth review. If you want to know more about this car, check out all my old build videos. I have pretty much the whole thing documented. Check those out. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned. There will definitely be more from this car and other cars because, let's be honest, I have a car problem. So stay tuned to the channel, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next time.